Hey guys, this is a little video that I just wanted to do for many of my paid customers and watchers. It's a video about a concept called the empath, and a lot of you who watch are empaths. I'm an INFJ on the Myers-Briggs, which is a known personality type that has a lot of empaths. And I want to do this video about why, as an empath, you need boundaries and you don't have to be nice to everybody. And I think that this is needed because I get a lot of readings that have a theme of, Naomi, what should I do? You know, I tried to do this and I try to do that, and it's usually about a guy or like a significant other. I get a lot of readings having to do with that. And like, I was so this and I was so that, and how come it's not working? And I'm not going to talk about my, my customer's personal business because that's their personal business and I hold that sacred, but I'm talking in general about a theme I've noticed. And it's with empaths in general. And things that I used to go through maybe like 10 years ago that I evolved from. And I'm not saying that to put anybody down, like, oh, you didn't evolve. It's just to share with you as an empath what you are not required or expected to do. Because a lot of empaths, like I said, fellow empaths watch this channel. Whether you've bought a reading and asked for advice about the subject or not, or if you're wondering about it, I'm going to tell it like it is. As an empath, you are not required to help anybody else but yourself, first and foremost. As an empath, you are not required to always be extra nice to everybody. As an empath, you are not required to be somebody's doormat. You're not required to be accommodating. And you also have every right to go out and all out for yourself. In my opinion, my definition of an empath is just somebody who has intuition, who has a heightened sensitivity and understanding and empathy of others. But as an empath, you also have to learn how to turn that on and off. You have to learn how to make good boundaries with others. For instance, I'm just going to give an example, something I dealt with. If you're going to go on a date with a guy, right? And the guy says to you, well, I'm really tired. Let's just hang out in my place because, I'm tired. And you don't really know him, or you've only been on like 2 dates with him. And you know that if you go in his place, it's going to turn into something physical, or even not. You like to be courted. You like to be taken out. You have every right to say, no, I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to stay inside my own place tonight. We can cancel the date. And then if he presses you and makes you feel bad, you then have every right to respond saying, well, I like to be taken out and I like to be treated nicely, and that's what I prefer. But if that doesn't match with you, that's fine. And we can go our separate ways. That's an example of enforcing healthy boundaries. And no, it doesn't make you narcissistic. It doesn't make you materialistic. It doesn't make you a narcissist or whatever for expecting to have something spent on you, to have time and attention put into you, and to be courted properly. And it's not being an empath just because you're not being understanding. Empath doesn't mean you're a doormat to be understanding to everybody's plight in life. It just means that you have a higher sense of intuition and sensitivity to others, but how you use it is your decision. Empath doesn't mean you're required or compelled to react in a certain way to everybody. And I think people get it messed up like, oh, I'm an empath, so I'm always nice. No, you don't always have to be nice if you're an empath. I'm empathic. I'm not always nice. Now, I moved to New York almost 10 years ago, and it toughened me up. When I first moved to New York, I was like a wolf, a sheep thrown into a bunch of wolves. And you learn really quickly to make boundaries with people. You learn really quickly to survive, especially in the dating scene there, that you have to be tough. You can't be like, oh, it's okay. I'll Netflix and chill with you in your apartment. And it's not even for safety. Like 9 chances out of 10, the person's not going to hurt you. But what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to take advantage of your time. They're going to try to take advantage of you and get you to do something. And even if they don't, they're just cheapening your time, honestly. And I think that dating is a good example for this because it's where our emotions get the most heightened and where I get the most questions from, especially women saying, well, I'm an empath and I was this and I was that for him. But that's not what an empath is. An empath isn't having to compromise your boundaries for others because others want to be lazy, or others don't have the resources to meet you at your level, or others don't respect you, or others aren't that into you enough to want to try harder. That can also be translated to work too. If your boss throws a bunch of extra paperwork on your desk and you're an empath, it doesn't mean you have to say yes to be nice and loving to your boss. You can put up boundaries and say no. Of course, work is different. Within reason, you can say no if you don't want to get fired, and we do depend on work for survival, whereas with love, you can take it or leave it. You don't have to have that to survive. So that can be a little different, but it's about saying no, and it's about sometimes being tough. An empath is not being an emotional sponge that just absorbs all the crap from everybody else and lets them walk on them. That is not an empath. An empath is just somebody who has a heightened sensitivity to their surroundings, who can naturally feel empathy, but you can learn with boundaries to turn it on and off. And I'm going to do some more videos about this. If you have a question concerning being an empath and putting up boundaries, I'm really good at card readings with that for personal readings, and also just giving like basic life coaching advice. I also have a background in other things that, I do understand different perspectives from it. I can't really I can't legally say what that background is because, again, as I said, it has to be separate from tarot reading. But I do have a very well-rounded, eclectic background in different things that allows me in both personal experience and my background to understand what empaths go through, how to make healthy boundaries, and what is not considered healthy for you and what is healthy. So it's not about always saying yes. It's not about being understanding all the time. It's not. Sorry, I don't know where people get this definition of it, that it's like being an emotional doormat, but it's not. And people come on this page sometimes and they say, oh, you're so narcissistic, like some of the trolls. I'm not going to pay these trolls any mind anymore. Like, I'm going to mostly block them or put my humorous responses anyway, because I like to sometimes poke them and play with them, with the trolls. But I'm a little feisty like that sometimes. But I'm actually more so using this as an example. So a troll can come on my page and say, oh yeah, you're narcissistic, Naomi. But actually, a healthy level of narcissism is positive for people. When it gets out of control, like some people that I'll remain nameless that are in government, especially, etc., and famous people, to that level of narcissism is unhealthy, but a certain degree of narcissism is actually healthy for you. You need to put yourself first. It's about being self-centered, not obsessed with yourself. Do you know what I mean? Self-centered means you put yourself at the center of your life. And the only time you shouldn't do that is when you have children, right? The only time you should not be self-centered is when you have children, because your children, that is a different type of unconditional love. When you have a partner, you always should come first. Regardless if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you come first until you have kids. Then your children come first. Because you can't love another person. You can't truly give to another person if you're only giving to them and you're not giving to yourself first. It goes along with that same thing that people always say, and there's a reason for that. Because, for instance, you may think, I'm going to give an example, that calling or texting, your new boyfriend all the time. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. Again, this is general information. When he doesn't call and text you is a good idea, right? And, it's playing games if I don't call and text him. Well, no, it's just kind of saying that my time is as valuable as your time. And if you don't have the time to call and text me, I don't have the time to call and text you, because you're showing me what my value is to you, so I'm going to give to myself. Instead of calling and texting you, I'm going to go take care of myself. I'm going to go, get myself something nice. I'm going to go to the park when it's nice out. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to dance class. I'm going to get my nails done, because I love myself and I am the center of my universe until I have children, right? If you do want kids. If you don't, that's fine too. But that's what it's about. When you're saying things like, oh, because I'm an empath, I'm so loving and I'm giving, that's not an empath, that's a doormat. So that's what I'm trying to say. And this is a little bit of tough love, because I notice a theme of questions I get. And like I said, it is not anybody in particular. I don't air people's dirty laundry out on my channel that's messed up. I take very seriously what my clients and followers say to me, in confidence. This is just a general theme I've noticed from a lot of people who email me, and actually in my personal life, friends who have spoken to me. And I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou. Believe me, I get it. I've been there like 10 years ago. But New York does a favor for you, especially if you weren't like that type of person to begin with, and it makes you toughen up real quick. And if you don't ever get to live in New York in your life, these are still messages that are valuable for everybody. So you put yourself first. You write down a list of what your wants and your likes and dislikes are. You write down a list of what your boundaries are, and you stick to them. So as I said, good example. If your boundary is you like to be taken out, right? It doesn't have to be really expensive places, but you like to be taken out, right? For the first month at least, you like to be taken out. You don't feel comfortable going in a guy's place. But you break that boundary on the third date, and because he says, oh, something happened to my paycheck this week, or I'm not feeling good, let's hang out inside my place. And you go against that boundary you have and you go and do it because, oh, I'm an empath, I'm understanding, I'm not like those narcissistic, gold diggers. You just broke your boundary. You just put yourself lower than what you held yourself to before. That's an example. And there is nothing wrong with expecting things that cost money. That doesn't make you a narcissist. It doesn't make you superficial. It doesn't make you a gold digger. It just makes you somebody who has standards. We get expected all day long, every day, ladies, right? To be physical. We get expected to be physical at a certain point, right? We get expected, that's not even a given. Most people don't wait to their marriage anymore. So what is wrong with us expecting our things and holding ourselves up to our standards? That's my point. If sexual relations is now a given nowadays in most relationships and nobody waits till they're married, what are you getting? Then don't tell me. And if it's sex and you love sex and you're that type of person who thinks it's amazing and wonderful, and that's like your main priority, go right ahead with that. And I don't judge you. I don't care. I'm very open-minded. I don't care. But for most women, that's not the number one priority. What are you getting? Are you getting your needs met? Because it's not an empath to be understanding about somebody's sad story when you're putting your boundaries below that. Putting boundaries first, upholding those boundaries, but being kind, understanding people's emotions, but not necessarily involving yourself in their mess is an empath with boundaries. All right, guys, I hope you like this. It's just a little tough love talk. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Email me at naomitarot1199@gmail.com or go to my website, naomitarot.com. Entertainment purposes only, not fact-based or proven. Thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye-bye.